Hello, hello. Welcome to the Rabell Realty Group podcast. I'm Rebecca Johnson, and this is our special guest,
Jackie Mercier.
That's right. She's sitting in for Kristen Rabell today. Kristen was off, not here, but she is back in Gatesville, so we wish her well. So hi, Kristen. There is no replacement for you, but we have Jackie, who is going to do her best and be fabulous at it. She has some really good stories that you'll want to tune in for, because today we will be talking about some of our ghost and ghouly stories of real estate, and we have plenty to share. Hopefully I don't botch some of our old memories, Kristen, but I've got a couple of them I've been thinking about. So, but we're going to start this Monday, like we start every Monday, with our Monday Market Moment. So I feel like this Monday Market Moment is kind of a treat because Jackie is a super active, constantly, I feel like, working. I don't know how she does it. She's got two boys that are growing and full of activities. They have all kinds of things they're involved in. And she's kind of a real estate powerhouse. So I'll be interested to hear some of her thoughts and feedback on what the market is doing. We're going to start with Marion County, and this is the 17th through the 24th. And in Marion, they had 164 listings that week with 205 price decreases. So, and then Hillsborough had 204 new listings with 303 price decreases. What are you feeling like? What do you think is happening in the market? I know we talk a lot about it.
I feel that people don't have as much buying power as they used to, and sellers still feel that their houses should sell at the higher point. But what they need to understand is, because the interest rates are a lot higher now, that they don't have the buying power they used to 6 to 8 months ago. That's why we're seeing a lot of price decreases.
That's true. And I do want to point out there that how long have you been doing real estate?
22 years.
So longer than Kristen and myself. So she's been through this. So that's what I'm saying is, like, she knows. She's been through we went through the last recession. She went through the last recession. She knows what it looks like. I mean, we were on the huddle this morning with some of our realtors talking about, it doesn't, you had a buyer and the house had been on the market 100 days and it went under contract before you could show it to them.
Yep.
So, which, what I always tell people is you only need one person to find that house that is out there, your home. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter how long it's been on the market. A seller is going to sell it at some point, whether they sell it at that price or whatever, but you just never know. So if there's a home you're in love with, don't wait for the rates. Don't wait for the price drop. Get in there with a realtor. Today we're featuring Jackie. I'm going to keep doing this. Today we're featuring Jackie, and you should get in touch with her, and she'll help you get that home. But yeah, so we're seeing homes sit longer.
Yes.
Sellers, do you feel like sellers are still getting what they want for houses, or are we seeing them step back?
I mean, I see sellers actually accepting offers less than the asking price. I see buyers asking for a lot more, where it be repairs, closing costs. I just see the market's turning, and like I tell everybody, just turn with it. You need to educate your buyers, educate your sellers, and make them realize that we're ever changing here, and there's a lot of pros and cons for buying and selling, which we'll get into later.
Yes, very good. Look at you. We have that a little later where we'll talk about our pros and cons of buying and selling and all those different things. I mean, yes, the rates are higher, but they're not predicting them to come down for some time, and they're not predicting prices to fall significantly. Some experts that we've been reading about are predicting a 10% reduction overall through the course of this, recession. And it's just a simple supply and demand. And I know I'm finding sellers are willing to wait. Sure, we see some price decreases. And I know Kristen has talked about this before. A lot of it is new construction. A lot of the national builders have a model that they want to be out of inventory by the end of the year. So they just start slashing prices to move those homes. And you do have some regular sellers that are reducing prices that maybe we're pushing the limits a little too hard. But overall, we are not seeing things come down dramatically. They're just kind of leveling off. Perfect. I was going to say, let's look at Alachua. So new listings in Alachua, 41. 51 price decreases. Remember, this is anything 500 and up. That counts as or 1,000 and up, I believe Kristen has said. 61 sold and 15 back on the market. 0 price increases.
So, really? Shocker.
I know. Sometimes we see those.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to watch some of this. To me, in the last recession, I felt like there was almost and you tell me your experience, like a 6 to 8 month adjustment period where sellers had to adjust to the idea, this was back in 07, 08, that they weren't going to get whatever they wanted for their house. Because I remember back then, you just put the sign in the ground and people were writing contracts on the hood of cars, back before computers were, before computers. It really wasn't that long ago that we were using flip phones and fax machines, if you really want to know. But yeah, so it was like a re-education process.
Yes.
And you had to re-educate because buyers were making offers, but sellers weren't accepting them in those days. I feel like now we're kind of in that where buyers are going to have to be educated that, hey, this is the new normal for rates. They're not going to plummet back down to 3% anytime soon. And you can always refinance if you get the home, but sellers are not, there have been times where I would just ask people, well, what do you want to get for the house? And if it was within the realm of what I was seeing, I'd be like, yeah, let's shoot for it. But worst case, this is what I'm seeing. I feel like now we're having to go in there with much more precise numbers and talk about, hey, the market is slipping and backtracking. It's possible that we will have to do price adjustments and all that. I mean, what do you think? What was it like?
I think, again, the buying power for people is a big thing. People are still making the same amount of money they were making 6-8 months ago. So I feel that's what I feel. I feel like people are waiting to see if the rates drop, which people that were going to buy in the summer said, no, I'm going to wait and see. Well, the rates have gone up almost, 1.5%, 2% since the summer. So if they waited, they're probably kicking themselves right now.
Oh, yeah, because it takes away, every time it inches up, it takes away your buying power and you have the ability to buy less. But it's
and the house maybe they wanted to buy, they could afford this summer, but now it's still on the market, but they can't afford it because the interest rates are higher and their buying power is less.
Yeah, it really is all a delicate balance. So, but very interesting. So, what are you seeing in Alachua County? You're still seeing a lot of demand. I feel like you mentioned, we talked about some price points.
I was seeing the higher, like the 400, 500 price point, where I had a couple of people that wanted to see houses last week and we made appointments, and then the listing agent called and said, hey, sorry, my seller accepted an offer. And it was on 2 different clients with 2 different properties this happened, which is
And what are you seeing for inventory coming on?
Not much. Sellers are waiting, I don't find there's a lot. People are selling their houses, but I think some of them are holding off too because they maybe can't find what they want.
That's true. And I've read so much about this, and I know you read and follow obviously what's going on. You've been through this many, many years. And what I think is so interesting, I know it is many, funny.
Many years.
Many years. Real estate ages you. It's kind of like dog years. Every year feels like 7. So, because the time jumps and it's a lot of work, and it's about to be a lot more.
Realtors are starting to have to work again. And unfortunately, the newbies who got into it when it was like so easy to sell a house, find a house. I mean, you show one house and they make an offer. Now you're showing 10 houses and they still don't want to make an offer.
I remember showing people for 3 months at a time and still having trouble
I do
finding.
too.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going back to those days of I'm not going to take a 3 to 6 month listing agreement. It's probably going to want to be a year because I remember sitting face to face with people, but 5 years ago saying, yes, the average time on the market is 90 to 120 days, and knowing that it was going to take that long. And it's just part of it. So I feel like sellers are willing to wait. I know I've got my eyes on a couple of properties, and I've been watching, and I mean, one of them is very clear. They're like, seller doesn't need to close until March, but they have it on.
Yep.
And they'll, consider a lease back or whatever. So if you want to get it now while the rates are low, get it now. I mean, that's literally what it says in the listing.
Especially if a seller doesn't need to sell right away. They don't mind putting their house on the market to see what happens.
Yeah, I've talked to several of those people, and it's pretty interesting to see what's gonna happen in the market. But I still think it's a great time to buy. I agree with you. You should buy before the rates continue to go up, and we'll just go from there.
Yes, I agree.
Before we go to break, we're going to talk real quick about this. I know you don't live in the city of Gainesville limits.
No.
I technically do, but, so I've been following this, and I know all good realtors follow, and everybody at Rabell is definitely aware of this. But the Gainesville City Commission did meet last Monday, 3 o'clock, and they had a
great timing.
Yeah, I know. Coincidental. In the middle of the day when everybody's at work. I can tell you the meeting did get a little more interesting in that 5:30 hour, and the bandwidth on the online version slowed down significantly as everybody joined. But they did vote for the second vote. They do have one more vote to get through. Something tells me they're going to get it through. We'll see, though. But they had their second vote. They did pass this. I know a lot of people are up in arms about it. But please remember, it's the city of Gainesville, and just because you have permission to do something, technically, I feel like we're doing a lot of air quotes today, technically you have permission to do this. It doesn't mean that it's going to be green lighted, or green lit. I don't know how you say that. Sorry to botch that to all my grammar friends. You still have to go before the board and get approval and go through the permitting process. But here is a loophole for all of my friends that are in Florida Park, Ridgewood, Briarwood, all those areas that are so up in arms about this. If you have officially recorded deed restrictions, which I know Florida Park does, and most of you others probably do too, if you look in those bylaws and it does not allow for this,
you're safe.
You're safe, or you're safer. Unless you're not keeping up with those bylaws and filing them as you're supposed to. But you have to go, yes, city compliance, HOA deed restriction compliance. It's not like it's a blind blanket to do whatever you want. You still have to follow the guidelines of the community.
You can't change those HOA deeds. You have to have quorum, which is like 73% of the homeowners have to vote.
Good luck getting that many people, because I've lived in HOAs that were 100% owner occupied, and they still couldn't do things.
Nope.
So,
you had to go knock door to door to get proxies signed, so they would give you their vote.
Yeah. So I would say, yes, I understand the fear, and I've had a lot of people asking me like, well, why can't they just undo it once it's done? And the state, they can't take value, perceived value, again with my air quotes, from a property once value has been given into it. And somebody asked me, well, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm just going to use a lot in downtown Gainesville for $60,000 that's on the market. If I can now have one lot that I can put one property on, and it's $60,000, but now I can buy it and I could put one residential, one attached auxiliary dwelling unit, and one detached. Now I have one property that's $20,000 per piece. It makes it much more financially feasible for people, which adds value. So now I can actually command a higher price for my lots. So hopefully that helps explain it. If you have questions, you can hit me up. I always love talking about the city of Gainesville. Plenty to say.
Rebecca reads a lot too.
And attends all the meetings, so I love it. So, so we'll take a quick break, and then we're coming back, and Jackie has some really good stories for you.
Dan Hathcock, agent here at Rabell Realty Group. One of the benefits of joining a brokerage are that you're with a bunch of like-minded people, and you're kind of working to a similar goal. There's a depth of education that comes along with your partnership in it, and that one word is kind of key. You end up having partners in what you do. You are your own business owner. I chose Rabell because of the sense of community that they have. This is an agency that really does care about the people that are working for them. It's not about just producing numbers. They are sincerely interested in what's going on in your family, and that within the framework of what you're doing to be successful in your real estate career, you also make time to be with your family and those people that are important to you. I'd say the biggest benefit has been the educational environment. There's a great deal of attention paid to making certain that you have all the information you need to be able to go out into the marketplace and be successful. and you've got a backup resource if you run into a situation where you don't have the answer. You know that you can call one of the people on the team, and they're going to help you come up with the right scenario for the situation you're involved with. The culture in this group is one of connection. Everybody that is working here, especially the people on the team, have a great connection with one another, and they're very, very supportive. I would sincerely recommend Rabell Realty Group to anybody who's looking to buy or sell a house, first-time buyers that need guidance and need assistance finding the right place for their family. I would also recommend it to anybody that's looking for a career in real estate, simply because of the people that run it, that own it, and that are engaged with it.
Hey there, welcome back. Jackie's with us. I'm so excited. Yay!
I'm loosening up.
She is.
Yes.
She is. She's got this. So we're going to kick off the second half, and what we're going to talk about is haunted house disclosures, because it's October. And basically, we were having a conversation in the office and found, and a lot of people didn't know this or didn't realize this, but found it fascinating that in the state of Florida, just because there was a murder in the property, you do not have to disclose that. Nope. But you do have to disclose if the property is haunted, even if you do not yourself believe in hauntings. So we were going to kick that off with also some ghoulish real estate stories of wacky things that have happened in real estate. And
Crazy.
Yes. So with that, Jackie.
So before I came to Gainesville, I've been here for 5 years. I lived in Miami and did real estate down there for over 16 years. And probably one of the most memorable listings I got was a lady who called me. She was getting divorced and she needed me to sell her house. I said, sure. So I did all the thing, got the house on the market, and a neighbor came up to me one day and said, do you know what happened in that house? And I said, no, I have no idea. So the wife had gone away on a vacation or a trip, and the husband had a crush, I guess, on the neighbor's wife across the street. So he kidnapped her and held her hostage in the house, tied up in a room for...
It's so crazy.
And even participated in the searches and handed out flyers and everything. And then the wife came home a couple days early to surprise her husband, air quote.
Yep.
And
we like these today.
Found this lady tied up, gagged in one of the rooms.
Could you imagine?
So needless to say, she called the police, and they arrested her husband. So
Kidnapping, you do not have to disclose on a property.
No, but I did not. But
when you told me this story earlier,
it took a while to sell.
Yeah, I can imagine. How creepy, though, is that he's out participating in the search efforts of this person.
Hanging up flyers, and
it's just my brain does not understand how you could do that and be out there looking for somebody that you know.
Can you imagine coming to your home and finding a lady tied up and gagged in a room?
Oh, I'd be terrified.
Knowing it and knowing her. Like, what are you doing here?
And did she realize that the woman had been missing, or because she was just coming back from vacation?
She didn't realize. But
Holy cow!
She had put two and two together pretty quick.
Just wild that people can be so brazen in their own neighborhood. Now, how did he get her, or where? That's what always scares me, because I've heard of realtors getting abducted, and I know she wasn't a realtor, but I've heard of it, and I'm always like, how does this happen so that I have
it was her neighbor. It was probably, he called her over, or you say, hey, can you come help me with this? My wife's gone, or something. I don't know. Maybe they were involved, having an affair. I have no idea. But yeah, he
took a
caught her and tied her up.
Oh my gosh.
What he was planning to do to her, I have no idea.
People are crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell this story. We'll see if I get in trouble. Hopefully I don't. I was telling you based on that story, because it was giving me total creepy vibes. that when I first got into real estate, I had to shadow somebody. And this isn't like I don't think it's a super scary story, but it was kind of like moment for me. But I had to shadow a closing, so I followed this veteran agent to a closing, and they were like, oh yeah, the buyer's agent should be here any minute. Now this is back in 2006, so and your mind will rewind to this in just a moment. But I was like, oh yeah, okay, who's the buyer's agent? And they said, Scott Peterson. And my face must have been, I think I just went white. I was like, what? And they're like, oh no, not that Scott Peterson. And I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, he might want to change his name, but he, had a little bit of a resemblance. I don't even know if he's in real estate anymore, but if he is, God bless him, because I know that probably was a hard couple of years to be Scott Peterson.
For sure. Oof.
But yeah, so what other stories? I know you've told me a couple. I like your lock changing story too.
Back in, the early, mid, 2005, 2006, the recession in Miami hit a little earlier, and foreclosures and short sales were big. And I signed up with an asset management company. And back then, when they gave you a listing, you had to physically go to the property to make sure it was empty. And if somebody answered the door, basically give them a 3-day notice. So I went to one house. I knew there couldn't be anybody living there because it was just horrible. And I walked in, I started looking around, and I heard noises behind me, and I started seeing people run out the door behind me. I did not want to go look in the rest of the house. I didn't know if somebody else was going to be living there and pop out of the closet, but yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I had a bunch of homeless people living in there, and they were running out while I was there. Very scary.
Yeah. Kristen and I realized we were not made for foreclosures pretty early in the foreclosure game. I think she got a call. This was back when she had first met Susan, and we had teamed up. We had been doing real estate for a couple of years, and she had just met Susan, and Susan came with us. Thank goodness, because Kristen and I were just kind of a couple of silly girls, like walking into vacant houses. But they had called us, and it was like the Pleasant Street area. I remember, but I can't remember which house it was. But we pulled up, and the grass is like as tall as us. And they were like, just go secure the property.
Yeah, like it's no big deal. These management companies, like, just go knock on the door, see if anybody lives there. Sure.
Pull up. It looks like a haunted house. It's like wood, and the paint's all scraped off, and the windows are like questionable. And the front door, I can't remember. I hope she's on here. If she is, I hope she comments. I can't remember. The door was like cracked open or open. So we, just a couple of girls just skipped up to the house. We're like, oh yeah, we'll check this house. No big deal. Susan's like, wait a minute. But yeah, we go in there, and there's like blankets and buckets where people are using the bathroom. And like, I know Susan found a knife on the ground, but nobody was there that I recall. I mean, y'all correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't remember anybody being there. But it was already like kind of traumatizing just being in there.
It's scary walking into these places and not knowing, because you don't know what they're going to do to you.
You just don't realize how dangerous real estate can be. I hear stories, and I know Kristen's got a couple of stories of her dad where, like, especially on the property management side, but I know it happens on the real estate side too, where people pass away naturally or unnaturally in homes, because it's just part of life. I have not, knock on wood, and I'm probably going to put this on myself now, stumbled across any dead bodies.
No, me either.
But I know of several where, somebody has passed away in the chair, and, the rent is past due. This particular person that I'm thinking of was also a hoarder, so nobody really noticed for a while. But that house has been torn down, so it doesn't matter. But I know this stuff happens, but you just don't realize that it's as interesting as it's going to be. So
I know.
Realtors,
there was
tell
a
us
lot
your
of funny things going on.
Oh yeah, I have.
When the foreclosures and short sales hit,
there's plenty of interesting, strange stories out there in real estate for sure. I mean, we've battled everything from snakes to naked ladies.
People in their underwear answering the door.
Underwear, fine. Naked on the couch is a little different when you're about to host a broker's open and you're like, this person's passed out. We can't let you in here right now. So, but yeah, all those things happen. Real estate certainly is an adventure.
Ever changing and never the same thing twice.
I guess let's hit this really quick. It's the pros and cons of buying a home in the current market. Jackie, what's a disadvantage to buying right now?
A disadvantage. There's not really many. I mean, nothing really. I think great time to buy right now.
The higher rates, I know people perceive as a con, but please remember you can refinance it.
And the buy downs.
Yeah, you can buy the rate down. So right now the pros are you can ask for things as to where the last couple of years we really haven't been able to. So you have the potential to get seller paid closing costs. Maybe your seller buys down your rate. My feeling on rate buy downs is if you're not going to be there a couple years, 4 years or more, which is really the break even point on that, that it might be worth just putting that money towards the principal and then refinancing down the road. Because say you get a rate at 7.5 and you refinance in 2 years because it drops down to 6.5, you've just lost that $4,000 that you paid to buy the rate down when you could have just refinanced
the first 5
it.
years of your loan is mostly interest anyways, but people don't look at that.
Correct. They're worried about other things. But, have the seller pay to buy rate down, seller paid repairs. I mean, these are all things that we haven't seen the last couple of years, but are certainly the norm in real estate.
Sellers are willing to do a lot more, like lists of stuff that buyers
paid
want done.
improvements, price negotiations.
Yep,
I mean,
you can negotiate now.
Sure. No need to waive the inspection. That's, I think, a huge
and
one.
longer inspection periods they're allowing.
Yep. Yes. Time to think. Unless you're in the 400 to 500.
No impulse buyers right now.
Right.
Yep.
Which I think and I hope leads to fewer cancellations of contracts.
Yes.
Contingency contracts. So if you need to sell to buy type situations. And longer contracts to close, like you mentioned.
Pre-occupancies and post-occupancies we're seeing, yep.
So those are all pros that basically we can breathe in the market again and keep it going. So, well, thank you so much. We've got a couple of announcements.
Yes.
Do you want to tell, do you know anything about the Parade of Homes coming up? I know this is what I know.
I do not know much. I don't think any of my builders are going to be in it, but
it is coming up.
It's a good time to go out and see what people are doing and get, ideas for renovations on your own home, what people are looking for when they are looking for homes, and see if it's an easy fix in your home to attract more buyers to buy your house.
For sure.
It's a good time to get out there and just see what's on the up and up.
There aren't a ton of them. I looked at the list. It's significantly smaller than it typically is, but you can check out the BANSF website, and it's the 5th and 6th and the 12th and 13th from 12 to 5. So we do have trick-or-treating. Do your boys still trick-or-treat?
No, they don't.
Isn't that sad when they outgrow
older.
that?
Yeah.
I think my daughter's about to outgrow that, but
they will trick or treat with younger kids if parents don't want to take them out. They'll
Call me. All right, so Town of Tioga is Monday the 31st, which is primarily Gainesville, most of Gainesville. But there are other options if you don't feel comfortable going trick or treating in the traditional sense. You have a couple of trunk or treats. Mm-hmm. Okay,
those are fun.
Did I say that right?
Trunk or treat. Yeah.
Trunk or treats.
People decorate their trunks and
you've got
lots and
multiples. I don't know if I've really done that. Maybe once, but I've never dressed up my trunk before. But I have seen some fun pictures on Facebook. So you've got that coming, and then of course, because we're in beautiful fall weather right now, you've got lots of pumpkin patches. And please go support that Gainesville Fear Garden, because I haven't been yet, but it looks really good, and I would love for them to keep doing stuff like that downtown. Mayhem Ranch, you said your boys like the Newberry Corn Maze?
Yeah, they're going to go to the corn maze, yep.
All that sounds lots of fun.
Yep.
So, and then we want to thank again Jackie for being our special guest. You can reach Jackie by phone, either the traditional sense or the newer sense, or you can email her. And we are delighted that she could step in for Kristen, and we are excited to have you back, Kristen. Welcome to land. So
welcome back, Kristen.
That's right.
Well-deserved time away.
And if you have a property that you need managed or leased, you can reach out to K&R Property Management. They will be your leasing agent, accountant, repairman, inspector, overall landlord, where all you do is sit back and collect a check, and Jackie will help you find that rental property. Just reach out to them at 352-213-6410.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, we got a couple more. And if you want to join the Rabell Realty Group team, just email us at join@buysellrebell.com. It is anonymous. If you do not
Best
want
decision I made.
That's right. Woohoo! Testimonial. Or you can reach us at 352-559-8820. And if you can't get enough of Kristen and Rebecca and the entire Rabell Realty Group crew, including Jackie, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Google My Business. Like and subscribe. And wow, this is a lot of work, Kristen. Did you know that we have a blog? Well, we do. We put all sorts of fun things on there, like pumpkin patches and trick-or-treating and sometimes general real estate stuff. So check us out at buysellrebell.com and click on the blog tab. And we'd like to thank the Fiesta Media for producing, producing this podcast and all of our other podcasts. If you would like to have a podcast of your own, please reach out at 352-327-5089. And please tune in next Monday for the Rabell Realty Group podcast.
And Kristen will be back.
I need another coffee. I'm out of words. Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Thank you, Jackie.
Have a great week.
Bye.